Good afternoon. Like, subscribe, and share. Now let's get straight to it. Trump is not an intelligent person. He is a fool and he is being used. He's being used the same way he was used when he bought the casino in Vegas and lost his fortune. Now, how is he being used? He doesn't know who's going to be his vice president. And they're keeping it a secret because the person that's going to be the vice president is going to be some billionaire that nobody likes. It's going to be somebody like Elon Musk or Bill Gates. I think it's going to be Elon Musk because he's sticking his nose. He's paying for propaganda to make himself look like someone he is not. And if he were to run for president, he wouldn't get 2% of the vote. Now understand, this is what's going to, so how is he going to become president? Because Trump is going to be convicted of treason, selling secrets, whatever. He'll be lucky to stay in office for a month, and they will remove him. And then that egotistical billionaire, whoever he is, will be president. And whoever he is, and then he'll probably make another billionaire vice president. But knowing the greed of billionaires, they won't get along with each other. Okay, now understand this. The worst country in the world to try to have a coup or a dictator is the United States. It is not in our DNA. You see, the propaganda, the amount of propaganda and the lies that America is a democracy has totally hypnotized this country, has totally hypnotized white people into believing that this is a democracy when it has always been oligarchs have always ran this country. When this country, right after 1776, what happened was that the only people who could vote were rich white men. Just rich white men could vote. That is an oligarchy. That is a republic. This country has never been a democracy. And white people, Caucasians, have never been smart enough to stand up for their rights. And I'm going to tell you something else. Racism was just a tool to keep black people down. But once a dictator comes into office, you don't need racism to keep people down because the dictator can do it on his own because he makes the laws. He may as well be the king. But like I said before, there will be blood in the streets of America. And the police force is not big enough. The army is not big enough because this country is just too big. 330 million people. I mean, you need an army of about, 40, 50 million people. Army. And you're not going to get that in the United States. The only thing whoever the dictator is, it's going to be a coup. Whatever billionaire takes over this country or wants to be president and vice president, it's going to be a coup. And the military, somebody in the military is going to take him out. But while this is going on, World War III is going to start between the United States and Russia. And Russia will win. And when Russia wins, Russia is going to do the same thing that Russia is doing in Ukraine. After Russia defeats the United States, Putin is going to put in a government that he feels he can trust that will not be a threat to world peace, that will not be a threat to a multicultural society. He's not going to allow that. Now, the East Coast will be destroyed. There will be no East Coast. That will be all bombed out. California and Texas will be lucky to survive. Now, they call Ohio the Midwest, but let's be serious. Ohio is not the Midwest. The Midwest is around. The Midwest is in between Ohio and New Mexico. That area there, the flat land where we have the silos for the nuclear weapons. However, our nuclear weapons are old and out of date. Russia's is technologically more advanced. So even if we tried to launch a nuclear weapon, Russia would shoot it down before it got to Russia. And another thing, if we try to send it from the east, I don't think Eastern Europe wants a nuclear warhead flying over their airspace. I doubt that. And I don't think China, which is next door to Russia, wants to take a chance on misdirection and getting the fallout. So the United States is defeated in a nuclear war. China will have to get in for their own security. In Eastern Europe, it is a threat. A nuclear war is a threat to them to have bombs flying over their countries. It's not going to happen. But the problem with the United States is that all our leaders are brainwashed and they're not intelligent people. The war in Ukraine should have been over with 2022. It should have been over. People are dying over there for no reason whatsoever. There is no way they could win. If you think Ukraine could beat Russia, then you think Mexico can beat the United States. Same exact scenario. Now, another thing to consider to show you how, stupid the United States is, we have 800 bases scattered all over the world. Russia can attack any of those bases that they want, and the United States cannot defend them. Couldn't defend Ukraine. You can't defend those bases. You can't. It's totally impossible. 800 bases, and now you've thrown away, and you've ruined, and now you just, gave $3.5 billion to Ukraine, which the country does not have and cannot afford. Now, a dictator, what's he going to do? An oligarch dictator, they're going to raise taxes on the American people. Well, that's your white supremacy. That's your white privilege card. The only privilege that you're going to have, only privilege that white people are going to have, is the privilege of paying back this $37, $38 trillion debt that, guess what? It can't be paid back because it is 130% of the gross domestic product. It is $30 trillion over what the United States brings in yearly. And when you add the interest on that, it can't be paid off. But what is going to happen is this. After Russia defeats the United States in World War III, the United States is going to pay reparations to African Americans, Hebrew Israelites, which is in the best interest of Russia. Because Russia is loved, Putin is loved in Africa. And we are African Americans. And Putin knows that we do not run this country, and he knows that he can trust us. And when this happens, the United States, African Americans, will build a bond with Africa. A bond that Europe can't build with them. It'll be their worst nightmare. A united black community. And Putin, he uncovered the lie that Yahshua, I want to say Yahshua, I should say Yahushua is black. He straightened that mess out. And he is respected for that. Now, this is exactly what's going to happen. I told you what was going to happen, that the United States could not defeat Russia because our military is spread all over the place, and we have a corporate capitalist military that doesn't try to win wars. It simply tries to make profit off of wars, profit maximization. And as I stated before, the ocean was our defense, and sanctions was supposed to be our offense. That's why we got mad at China, because their technology exceeds ours. And now the ignorant people in Washington are trying to tell China, stop developing your technology. It's not fair. It's not fair for you to be better than us. We don't like that. Stop it. China looked at the United States and said, are you out of your ever-loving mind? And then the United States, and I've stated many times that Israel couldn't win because they're surrounded by Muslim nations. And they were all going to eventually do what they're doing now, supporting the Palestinians. They are the same people. And now that Russia has stopped the United States from bullying, from being a bully. And they're all standing up. And then the United States has the audacity to say, Hezbollah, stop attacking Israel. Or else. Or else what? Hezbollah's beating Israel. Ukraine should have took the peace agreement in 2022, and they'd be better off. Now they don't even have a choice. Russia's just beating the living slop out of them. And it was never Russia's plan. Russia's plan was to protect the Russian people. And there were Russian people living in the Ukraine. And the people in Ukraine were treating the people in Russia. The Russians lived in Ukraine. And the Russians that lived in Ukraine were being mistreated the way Israelis are mistreating the Palestinians. And the United States is mistreating black people. Understand this. In Israel, they put handcuffs and place 9, 10, 11-year-old kids in jail. They put handcuffs on them and arrest them and everything else. And that's the exact same thing that American police do here. But in the Midwest, they're doing it to Caucasians more and more and more. Police are abusing Caucasians, and they don't have a white privilege card to accept to get out of this. Now, I was going to tell you who I am, but nah. Just think of me as a spiritual philosopher. Now, I have another channel. It is called the Synagogue of Spirituality. The purpose of this channel is to bring Hebrew Israelites back home. You see, our religion was spiritual philosophy. Spiritual philosophy is our religion. Caucasians took spiritual philosophy and they tried to replace it with Christianity. Understand this. Caucasians have never given us anything of value. Caucasians have never given us anything. We fought for our freedom. We fought for civil rights. We fought for voting rights. No, they have never given us anything. In all of history, they've never given us anything. Never. In fact, we wanted to live and move where we wanted to, but that didn't necessarily mean that we wanted to live in white neighborhoods. We wanted to build our own neighborhoods like we did in 1920, and that was prevented. And then they built projects and stuck us in projects. But that's all I want to say. And but understand this: we will get reparations. But one thing that we need to do, we need to pray for reparations. Pray for reparations and meditate for reparations. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become character. And watch your character, it becomes your destiny. From your thoughts, from positive thoughts, comes a positive destiny. Pray and meditate for reparations. You don't have to worry about praying and meditating for against racism, because we're going to be running this country after World War III anyway, and we will be respected, and it will be and then eventually the United States will be the most advanced, technologically advanced country the world has ever seen. So like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. I really shouldn't tell you this, but I am Yahushua. I am Yahushua reincarnated. Some might call me Jesus, but that's who I am. Okay, now, do I expect you to believe this? No. When I found out, I didn't believe it either. But it doesn't make a difference whether I am who I say I am, because the seed of God is within all of us. And my purpose in the Synagogue of Spiritual Philosophy is to make Hebrew Israelites fertile ground so that the seed can grow. Understand this. Yahshua never said that he was anything other than the Son of Man. He said he was the Son of Man. But as he developed spiritual integrity, he evolved. And you could call him the Son of God or an immortal mortal. That has always been our goal, to be immortal mortals. like, subscribe, and talk to you later.